Okay, this is a quick little update for the channel. I know I haven't been doing much on here lately. I've just been basically not shooting in quite a while. I did go out this last weekend though, this Sunday just gone. I went and took the 300 Norma out, the 17 HMR. The 17 HMR still has that bit of a burr on the crown even after the re-crown, so I'll have to take that back to the gunsmith. The 300 Norma trigger is working fine now. I shot some groups with it. I only fired, 12 rounds, 5-shot group, 2 3-shot groups, and 1 shot just for zeroing, because to spray the trigger group out, I have to basically take the action out of the stock, and basically every time that happens, it has to be re-zeroed, yada yada. The 5-round group wasn't great, like it was probably 3/4 of an inch, but there was that much mirage by that time because I didn't take a break between any of the shots that like I was struggling to see the target even just as 100 yards. It was dancing around that much from mirage. And it's winter here. It would have been even worse if it was spring or summer. That's about it that's been happening. I have been waiting on something else to arrive that I'm going to do some messing around with, but it's been on order now for over 3 months and hasn't turned up. It's a Hauer 6.5 Creedmoor 26-inch threaded varmint barrel. I tried to get a 24-inch stainless, but they didn't have any in stock in Australia, the distributor that is. So my local gun shop couldn't order me one in. So they've had to order one of the 26-inch blued threaded muzzle barreled actions. And yeah, they're just not rocking up in Australia yet. They're still coming from Hauer in Japan, apparently. And my PTA that I had to apply for only lasts 3 months, and that's expired, so I'll have to apply for another one when that finally turns up. I've got dies, Forster dies. I just got some Starline brass, spear projectiles, and some Hornady ELDMs to load. The spear 90 grain TNTs that I got, I'm just gonna do some ammo basically for break-in, but I'll also sort of check how that shoots. I'll load it up in lots of 5 or 10 in like increments across charge weights and see how they shoot, and then I'll use that to get about 100 rounds on the barrel before I do load development with the ELDMs. And I'll also keep any sort of data that I learn from that up my sleeve for if I want to do any varmint loads up with this 6.5 Creedmoor. That's about all that I've got sort of coming up that I've been doing, but again, I've had that on order for 3 months now, and it's taken ages to get here, so whenever that gets here, I'll do a video about that. I already have a chassis sitting there, ready for it to go into, which is the same as on the Tikka T3X, the 223 that I've got. It's the MDT XRS chassis, but I got the flat dark earth for the Hauer. It was the only colour they had in stock where I was getting those chassis from. Apart from that, nothing much has been going on. We had to cancel the shooting trip due to weather again. They got something like, my uncle said 7 inches in 3 days, plus they'd had, before that even, they'd had about 10 inches of rain. They were getting smashed with rain. They've had to stop work. They hadn't worked in 3 weeks the last time I was talking to him because they couldn't drive tractors around the farm. It was that wet. None of the equipment they could get around to do any work. He said he had half the wheat in that they were going to plant on one of the farms. But then he said due to the rain, it was basically waterlogged and underwater. So he said it's probably a wash, it's not going to grow, he said. It was that wet, they couldn't get the other half of the wheat in. So yeah, he's struggling a bit out there with that sort of stuff. It was better that if they got the chance to work, we wouldn't be in their way for them to get that sort of stuff done anyway. So that's about the update on that. So what's this, the 2nd or 3rd year in a row we've had to cancel that. But yeah, it sucks, but they're the breaks, I suppose. You just take what you can get and try and organise another trip later this year or next year again, and hopefully we just don't get washed out. That's about all that we can do. Okay, that's an update. I will hopefully get around to this Howard stuff soon when it arrives, if it arrives anytime soon. Okay, I will catch yous eventually in the next one.